It is over for AMD. I don't know if you saw this, but they reported great earnings and the stock is down. Last I checked, over 6%. Is now the time for you to be selling? Let's find out today. But let's take an actual perspective, an actual look at what's going on in AMD. So if we look at AMD's chart right here, right, we can see for a hot minute it had been trending upward. In fact, on May 7th, AMD finally broke this ugly, terrible, no good, very bad downtrend and turned and started to go back up. And I actually got bullish AF on AMD. Now, we'll talk more about what these outlier blocks are later on, but it looked like there's a lot of overhead resistance coming. And because of that, I was saying, you may not want to be in AMD at this point, right? Well, let's catch up on some of the news. So they just reported earnings, right? AMD Q2 earnings beat estimates, revenues up year over year, yet the shares fall. Oh man, how could this happen? My sarcasm's ramping up real quick, right? Earnings come out 4 times a year, right? Earnings come out 1% of the time of the year. What are you going to do the other 99% of the time? Are you actually sitting and waiting for what's going to happen once a quarter, or are you actually being very defensive, very aggressive with your portfolio and making sure that you are in a stock when it's working and out of a stock when it's not? Remember, one of my key phrases I like to say is all stocks are bad and every once in a while they acted right. AMD acted right for a couple months now, but now it's not acting so right. Now it's not acting so right. How can it be down 6% right now? Okay. This is not unusual with earnings, right? What you're used to seeing is well, maybe I shouldn't say used to seeing. What you're hoping to see is akin to gambling, right? When you go into earnings, the risks are so much higher than the rewards. And that's just my opinion. Right? You do you. But anytime you're running into earnings, you're running into what could potentially be giant moves against you, like SMCI, which is down nearly 20%, but also ran up into these outlier blocks. We'll explain more about those later on. But SMCI ran into the same situation that AMD ran into, right? Then we can go over to Seeking Alpha. 2025 is not the year. AMD delivered solid Q2 results with Q3 guidance. Visibility on China AI revenue and GPU growth remains limited. AMD's stock valuation now matches NVIDIA's, reflecting high AI expectations, but margins and growth just don't justify further upside. And this person maintains a hold rating on AMD. And then lastly, why AMD stock is tumbling despite better than expected returns. Better than expected sales and guidance weren't enough to lift AMD stock over the high bar set by its run up in in recent months. Now, does this mean AMD is going to crash down? I don't know. But I'll tell you right now, it certainly is breaking some really key moving averages. And here's one thing that I really like to hammer home here, right? The news may be tremendous. It may have beat all kinds of estimates. The analysts were wrong. It is overperforming. Yet, when you woke up this morning, you had less money in your account. Because, oh, did that not work? Because profits follow price. If the price is going down, you're not making money. And it doesn't matter how great the analyst estimates are. It doesn't matter how high the earnings come out. None of that matters if the price is not moving in your direction. Okay? So, waking up this morning, you're probably sitting on some great AMD games, but I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't be holding AMD after today. If I had been holding AMD in this giant run up, I certainly wouldn't be holding it after today. Now, one of the things that actually got me was the sentiment, right? The sentiment behind AMD got really, really inflated. Oh, look, there's our friend, the Joker. Got really, really inflated. Is it time to buy the dip? Wall Street's wrong. It's starting. Own AMD. Watch this. Buy now. AMD, you've been fooled. AMD to 370. Earnings alerts. AMD, it's too late. Right? All this stuff. The sentiment behind AMD got me really, really, really nervous. Really, really, really nervous. Now, you can actually plot what that nervousness looks like here in Outlier because it shows you the fear and greed score. People have been getting greedy nonstop nonstop since basically the last earnings call, getting more and more and more greedy. Now, this is nearly maxed out on our fear and greed scale. It goes up to 100. It's currently at 89.48. My opinion, everybody who had gotten greedy, is they're going to start turning around and yelling, sell, sell, sell. There's only sellers left. Exactly. Sellers over and over and over, right? What we're seeing right here, I think, is what's playing out in AMD. We got ultra greedy. In fact, let's take a little side by side here if we can do that. Zoom out here. Okay. Look at that chart. That's crazy talk. Right. This was the left-hand side of the chart where people start selling, the complacency, anxiety, denial, panic, capitulation, all of that emotion heading on the way down. And then it hit a bottom and all the sellers had left the building. In fact, we can plot that and we can see over here, it had hit a fear score of 23. So most of all the sellers had left the building. And then who was left? The buyers. The buyers came back in and they're like, let's do this thing, right? The hope, optimism, thrill, belief, euphoria. This is the market cycle at play here. And you're seeing it happen in AMD. Now, is this the very top? I don't know. But I'll tell you right now, I am looking at this saying I wouldn't be owning it today. Now, I've been teasing this for a hot minute, but the outlier blocks are so critically important that I would never trade against them. So even though I'm saying right now it's over for AMD, let's go objectively rank how AMD would look using our Outlier 9 setup. So let me refresh this real quick. We'll start everything with bearish and we'll let it build itself up. Okay. So first, every stock in the market, well, I should say every stock out there is influenced not just on its own, but the market and the sector, and then the stock itself. So 40% of the stock's move is due to the market. Let's go see what's going on with the market. So if we go to the SPY, we can see we just got a sell signal in SPY a couple days ago. That's not a good start. That's not a good start. We still have the 10 over 20, price over 50. So we still have a bullish uptrend right here. So I'll give you a trend, but I will not give you the signal. So I'm going to give you that. And then lastly, on the market, the breadth. Breadth is not great. Breadth is increasing, but it's not great right now. What this green line is measuring is how many buyer sell signals that we have. And the red line right there is the exponential moving average of how many buyer sell signals we have. And it is currently crossed down bearishly with only 29.97% of the stocks that we show having a buy signal, meaning 70% of the market has sell signals right now. 70% of the 70% of the market has sell signals right now. So there's no way that I would be working against that. So next, let's go to the sector. AMD is in the tech sector. So if we go look at the tech sector, after I close a couple tabs here, there we go. If we go look at the tech sector, what we see right here is a ton of fear crawling into the tech sector, right? The greed is starting to evaporate out of here. Look at how sharp the greed has evaporated out of the sector. So what this is doing is it's taking the average fear and greed score for the entire sector, okay? You can see it's going down hard and fast. It's at 53%. So there's a huge divergence here, right? AMD is getting more and more and more greedy while the sector is getting more and more and more fearful. What do you think is stronger in this case? What do you think is stronger in this case? I would imagine that the sector is stronger than the stock itself, right? The sector is a lot more stocks than just one. In fact, I can tell you approximately how many we have. 156 are representing fear in this sector. 178 are greedy. Certainly would not be betting against the sector. Then what we can see down here is the trends. We're getting less and less uptrends, more and more downtrends, as well as more and more sell signals. All right, so nothing looks good for the sector on AMD. Nothing at all. So let's now go to the stock itself. So 70% of the move is not bullish. And if it's not bullish, it's what? If it's not bullish, it's what? Bearish. This is exactly like driving, only looking in the rearview mirror. Man, if only I was listening to your channel. But thanks for listening to mine. So 70% of the market is bearish against AMD. So let's go look at the stock trend, signal, fear and greed, and outlier blocks on top of it. So first, the trend on AMD is bullish, 10 over 20, price over 50. And it has been bullish since May 7th. And so what we're trying to establish here is which direction is the path of least resistance, okay? In AMD, it has been the 10 over the 20, price over the 50. 10 over 20, price over 50. But on the downside, it was 10 under the 20, price under the 50. This is exactly what a trend looks like. And it's great because you can see just how real trends are. And the other thing is, always keep in mind, trends will end. Trends will bend, okay? Trends will end, trends will bend. Your job is to be in it while it's going and get out of the way when it starts to bend. So the trend is still bullish. I'll give you that. But one thing I do want to show real quick is one of my cheat sheets, which you are more than welcome to take a screenshot of here. The 10-day EMA is the indicator of the short-term trend. I love this so much because it's such a great representation of what I like to call red lights and green lights. Anytime it closes over the 10 EMA, which is the blue line here, you could consider that a very strong trend. Now, there are times where it's closed under and then right back over, and that's totally fine. That's part of a trend, right? But you're never going to see a trend that is broken if the 10 EMA is not already broken, okay? There may be times where it bounces back up, but when you see a close under the 10 EMA, that means, mathematically speaking, the trend is bending. Will it continue to bend down forever? Who knows? But right now, the trend is bending. So it has lost the short-term trend. Next, the 20 EMA is a reversion to the mean after an extended uptrend. That's the black line right there. So if you want to think about it this way, the AMD right here, this is the intermediate term trend. If it can hold this, and it's getting really close, we'll have to see by the end of the day. If it can hold this, then the intermediate term trend is still moving up. If it cannot, the intermediate and short-term trends are both pointing down. That's not a great sign. That's definitely not a great sign. Now, for me personally, a close under the 10 EMA right here is I will not own this stock anymore. That is exactly what we're seeing today, and that's what I'm trying to relay to you. If you're holding AMD, now may be a great time to just not hold it anymore. Let's get back over to this. The signal on AMD. The signal started on April 28th and has been a huge run, a giant run. In fact, these signals have given only 356%. I mean, that's not all that much, really. I should be embarrassed to say it's only given 356%. 356% following these buy and sell signals in Outlier, right? So the signal is still bullish. I'll give you that one. Fear and greed has gotten so elevated. 89.48. I'm going to round that up to 90, and I'm not giving you that. At 90, I start saying I'm more bearish than bullish on the fear and greed. So I'm not going to give you that. And lastly, outlier blocks. Now, this is the area that I absolutely wanted to share a little bit more time on. And that's exactly what outlier blocks represent. That's exactly what they represent. And you can see the very first time it came up into this area, it got rejected. The second time it came up into this area, it got rejected again. And it even built a double layered outlier block right there. A double layered outlier block. So AMD is going to have a very difficult time pushing through higher this area right here from around 178 to around 187. This is a high area of resistance. Again, another reason why I would not be owning AMD at all. So looking at this, AMD is a strong sell all day. 2 of my 9 objective measurements here, without any opinion baked into it, only 2 of 9 are bullish. This is a giant sell signal to me right here, and one that I would not at all be ignoring. But listen, I know I'm just a random guy on the internet, but let me at least show you a few more slides, right? This is the golden ticket trading strategy. It's what I call my style of trading using Outlier. And it starts with, what is the market telling us? We've already established that the market is saying that it is not set up, right? It is not set up at all. And because of that, there's no way that I'd be putting any risk on in the market. What I'm doing right now is what I like to call sit in cash and don't F up, right? Now we have different vehicles where you can earn interest, right? Maybe your brokerage pays interest. Maybe you're buying SGov. That's what I personally have my money in right now. And I'm earning interest in the meantime. Sit in cash and don't F up means if there's nothing to do, your job is to do nothing. Don't F up your portfolio when there is nothing to do. And you're probably saying to yourself, well, this guy calls himself a trader. He probably doesn't even have 41% of the hair on his head. You're right. I know. I've only got 40%, but I do have some really great mentors. And one of my mentors would tell you this, right? Pros focus on managing risk, implementing processes, and maintaining the discipline needed to consistently execute their plan, knowing that if they get those right, the money will take care of themselves. Okay. And once you evolve to the point of always being patient and only taking quality trades, that means you've decided that you're in it not for the action, but to make money. You have sit out power. You never force trades. You're a pro. Those are coming from one of my direct mentors, Mark Minervini, two-time US Investing Championship winner, two-time US Investing Championship winner, and market wizard. Now, who am I? My name is Christopher Ewell. I've twice been awarded top 100 people in finance. I was mentored by 5 of the market wizards, Mark being one of them. They're the greatest traders of all time. I've been successfully trading since 2009, and this is where outliers like us save time, make money, and start winning with less risk. And we do this together as a team here live on YouTube. So go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. But listen, if you know more than me, by all means, you do you. You do you. But I do want to show today's member highlight. Let's go look over in our Discord. And Nate, who's here watching live, I saw Nate in the chat, says, my big win is practicing good outlier psychology and using SGov to quell any issues I have with my money not doing anything. I do have some positions that I am waiting to close, but this week was far more involved, mostly with sitting in SGov. Right? There is so little to do in the market right now, except not F up your account. There's all kinds of things you could be doing, like effing up your account. But all you have to do is just sit in cash and don't F up. That makes life so much easier, right? Wait for those opportunities to come to you. So of course, tell me some of your success stories in the chat live right now. I'd love to feature you. And if I've helped you in any way, the way that you can pay me back is just by telling everybody you know about Outlier. Because that's the first rule of Outlier, okay? Now, what are the sectors telling us? Well, let's go look at the sectors. Let's go look at the sectors. If we go over to sector breadth, and we look over here, we can see every single sector has bearish breadth. Not one, not two, all 11 sectors in the market have bearish breadth. In fact, let's just click on one at random. I'm a finance guy, so let's go look at the financials. Looking at here, right? We can see tons of sell signals have come through. We actually hit a bottom. Only 15% of the entire sector had a buy signal, meaning 85%. It's come up just a little bit. It's up at 23% right now. And you can see just how strong the number of downtrends was growing and the number of uptrends was falling. Right? We talked about those trends earlier. We talked about how important they are to your portfolio. And you can look at this data and you can tell the only thing to do is to sit in cash and not F up in a market like this. So if AMD continues its run, that is awesome. But I think it's got a lot of headwinds against it. And in fact, my personal measurement of it would put that as a strong sell. And because of that, that's my reason why I'd say it is over for AMD. Listen, if you're ready to save time, make money, and start winning with less risk, click one of these 2 videos, and we'll talk soon.